is WCPO 9 News.
Thanks for joining us for WCPO 9 News. I'm Craig McKee. Let's take a look at some of those top stories for you. A mother now faces charges after the West End apartment fire that killed her 3-year-old son. The Hamilton County grand jury indicted Angel Campbell on charges of involuntary manslaughter and endangering children. Firefighters say the boy was found under a bed after the fire on Winchell Avenue back in February. A neighbor helped pull the boy's grandmother out of the apartment. Investigators said at that time that they believe the fire started when the boy was playing with a lighter near a couch. The prosecutor's office tells us the indictment stems from the mom leaving her child with someone that was not capable of caring for him. Today in Indiana, the state opened vaccine eligibility to all Hoosiers 30 and older. The expansion makes the vaccine available to more than 840,000 residents. And on Wednesday, anyone 16 and older can begin scheduling appointments. You can register at ourshotindiana.gov. Well, it's the end of an era downtown. The former Millennium Hotel is starting to come down. Demolition began this morning. The skywalk that connects to the convention center will be the first thing to go. The whole process should take about 15 months into next summer. Elm Street between 5th and 6th Streets will also be closed down the entire time. We have more closures for you up on our website, WCPO.com. Now for a look at your 9 and First Warning forecast, here's meteorologist Sherry Hughes. Sherry?
Hey there, Craig. We had a delightful day. Temperatures topped the normal temp of 58 degrees. It's very seasonal. Now, tonight we have clear skies. We're going to fall to about 42 degrees, and that's not bad. That's above normal. Tomorrow, though, temperatures warming very quickly, albeit we will have some breezy south winds out there to consider, but we start in the 40s. By lunchtime at noon, 70 degrees for a high at 4 p.m. We are tracking rain. It won't arrive until late Tuesday night into early Wednesday.
I'm Josh Bazan. Big weekend crowds at the bank's new Dora district are raising concerns about how the city will monitor the new outdoor drinking area. A spokesperson for the bank says Saturday was one of the best days for business since the pandemic started, but says they're encouraging people to space out and follow public health recommendations. Mayor John Cranley says we are not out of the pandemic yet and is reminding people to be careful with their own health. But those weekend crowds have some people concerned about how the city will monitor the new outdoor drinking district while trying to stop the spread of COVID-19. The bank says any spring day with good weather attracts large crowds and acknowledges Saturday was no exception. Mayor Cranley says the city will be keeping a closer eye on things going forward.
And Tony Young from our health department is going to be working with the restaurants here and elsewhere to make sure that we're cognizant of the physical distancing requirements as we come out of COVID winter.
So it is an enormous footprint. And we certainly want folks when they come down to the Dora to be mindful of those health recommendations that are in place to help keep you safe.
The designated outdoor refreshment area opened last Thursday as a way to draw more people down to support the bars and restaurants here. The bank points out people who come down can take their drink and space out as far as they want from the people around them. It also says as more people get used to the new Dora district, they will start to spread out and use more of the 85-acre space. Reporting at the banks, Josh Bazan, WCPO 9 News.
I'm Larry Seward. Today, Ohio is giving vaccine to people as young as 16 years old. Vaccine for teens as young as 16 comes with a catch. Pfizer is the only one authorized to give the youngest, meaning anyone over 18 wanting the same brand could struggle finding appointments. To date, the Ohio Department of Health has not sent Springdale a single Pfizer dose, but that's all UC Health is getting next week. And a spokesperson there told us we will only schedule 16 and 17-year-olds to receive the Pfizer vaccine. It's been the only brand shipped to Claremont County for several weeks. While doses are open to anyone eligible through the ArmorVax app, their 2,340 appointments go fast.
It's kind of a stressful situation.
In Cincinnati, waiting hurt 75-year-old Darlene Jackson.
Initially, it was not a big priority because I was hearing warp speed, that kind of stuff. And I don't, if it's something this serious that you're going to be injecting internally, I'm not wanting anything that's warp speed. When I decided that it was okay to get a shot, I thought it was going to be a breeze.
Wanting no part of drive-thrus or mass vaccination clinics and only longing for Pfizer because of its high efficacy, Jackson struggled.
It says no appointments available, no COVID vaccines. So I go back and check regularly, nothing. Then I tried Kroger's, same thing. I was given some choices. A couple you gave me, with Council on Aging. Do you know, when I explained to them what I was going through, he got on that site, was able to get farther than me to find out what days were available and what times. I never could get to that.
Ohio's provider portal gives names and numbers, but to find one with vaccine and openings, schedulers say timing is crucial. Claremont County opens appointments through this ArmorVax app every Thursday at noon. Over in Clifton, UC Health opens appointments the same day at 8 a.m. Like other clinics, they're both first come, first served. Larry Seward, WCPO 9 News.
The head of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and President Biden are asking Americans to stick with the pandemic precautions just a little while longer. Monday, officials announced that the U.S. has surpassed 30 million cases of COVID-19, and parts of the country are seeing a steady rise of cases. The CDC director says the latest reports have her feeling an impending doom.
We are working closely with the states. I will be speaking with the governors tomorrow to try and reinforce the need for these for current restrictions to not open up. I think what we do with masking will really depend on where we are 40 days from now.
According to the CDC, about 143 million vaccine doses have been administered in the United States.
This case is not about all police. This case is about Mr. Derek Chauvin.
That Derek Chauvin did exactly what he had been trained to do over the course of his 19-year career.
The trial for former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin began today. Chauvin is charged with second-degree unintentional murder, third-degree murder, and second-degree manslaughter in the death of George Floyd last May. Chauvin has pleaded not guilty. On Monday, the U.S. military honored the American service members who lost their lives during the conflict in Vietnam. The ceremony recognized National Vietnam War Veterans Day. On March 29, 1973, the last American ground troops left the country, ending U.S. involvement in the conflict. More than 58,000 Americans died in the war. Over 1,200 Americans are still unaccounted for. Monday's events commemorating the day were largely held online due to the pandemic.
It's no secret this country has an infrastructure problem. Roads, bridges, water lines. The American Society of Civil Engineers recently gave the U.S. a grade of C- for our infrastructure. Casey Dinges is with the group.
All parts of the country have issues. Red states, blue states, purple states.
Well, this week, President Biden is expected to reveal his idea for a massive infrastructure plan, tentatively scheduled for release on Wednesday in Pittsburgh. And while the exact details are not out yet, we know it will likely be in the trillions and drastically impact everything from your commute to your child's education.
But you may be wondering, where will the money come from for this multi-trillion-dollar spending package, especially after the country just spent over $1 trillion on stimulus checks? The answer is one word: taxes.
America hasn't had a significant tax increase since 1993. President Biden has promised no new taxes for anyone making under $400,000 a year. White House officials have said couples earning at least a combined income of $400,000 could see an increased rate, though. Taxes for those Americans could go up 2 to 3%. Additionally, corporations and big businesses could be set for an increased tax bill too. Early indications suggest they could be raised 7 to 10%. So how will this impact you? William McBride is an economist with the Tax Foundation and says you don't have to be CEO of a company or make six figures to potentially feel the impact. If the company you work for has to pay more taxes, it could be passed on to you.
It's going to put pressure on the ability of employers to provide raises. It's going to put pressure on the ability of employers to hire, to promote.
That argument is what most Republicans will argue when the debate begins on Capitol Hill. Democrats are already out saying that Wall Street has soared this pandemic and big business can afford it. One thing is clear, though: fixing that pothole or adding that train route will be costly, and the fight to raise taxes difficult for President Biden. In Washington, I'm Joe St. George.
Many independent venues across the country had to close during the COVID crisis. Now there's economic relief available to help reopen their doors.
This is how we control the sound that comes from the stage.
Cervantes Masterpiece Ballroom is known for its live shows.
So they get the full band instead of just the trio.
But since the COVID crisis started, this independent live music venue has gone from standing room only to operating at 10% capacity with social distance shows.
We are hosting seated shows these days. This is not normally what you would see in Cervantes.
Owner Duncan Goodman is looking to reopen at full capacity after being shut down for more than a year.
That's the full band also this time.
And having to cut most of his staff to survive during the pandemic.
Deferred everything that we could, honestly. And I mean, just cash flow wise, in order to make sure we have money in the bank.
Goodman is part of the National Independent Venue Association, a group with a mission to secure funding for venues like Cervantes.
They fought for us, fought for independent venues until the bill was finally passed.
That bill, known as the Shuttered Venue Operators Grant, was recently signed into law as part of the second COVID-19 relief bill. It allocates $16 billion in federal emergency relief through the Small Business Administration to venues that have been hit hard.
Those are the industries that we're here to support. They've been devastated by revenue loss, and that's exactly what this program hopes to help them restore and open up.
Barb Carson is with the SBA and says venues across the country are eligible for this money. She says the criteria is complex, but for those that qualify, this program can provide a single independent venue up to $10 million.
I wish it were easy to join a federal program, but it's not, and it's for good cause. We need to have a program that's fair to ensure that people who are not eligible don't get the funds, because it's going to go fast.
For Duncan, this program is a lifeline.
Float Like a Buffalo is going to be pretty dead.
Helping his business get back to standing room only.
This grant is instrumental in helping this industry to survive and saving a lot of these independent venues, including Cervantes.
I'm Kai Beach reporting.
Americans owe almost $2 trillion in student debt. But the latest stimulus bill included some provisions that can clear a path for student loan forgiveness.
I graduated with about $132,000 in student debt.
$132,000 in debt. It's a crushing number, but it's how much Jashira Maduro owed when she got her diploma.
This December, when the grace period was done, it was like, all right, here's your bill. And it was so large. It was, over $1,000. It was like $1,300. And I can't get an apartment, the first job coming out of graduation was definitely not going to cover that.
The majority of Jashira's loans were private, but she still had $30,000 in federal debt. The weight of those loans and payments can be overwhelming for some. But there's a glimmer of hope coming.
The primary benefit of this latest piece of legislation is that any form of student loan forgiveness coming down the pike, at least from the federal government, would be considered tax-free.
This is Andrew Pentis, an advisor with Student Loan Hero. He's talking about a piece of the latest COVID stimulus bill, the American Recovery Act. Right now, there are a few ways to have federal student loans forgiven. Years spent working in public service, working as a teacher in some states, or if you enroll in an income-driven repayment plan, can all have your student loans disappear. Almost. You do have to pay the taxes on the amount forgiven.
A borrower with a $50,000 income who would receive $10,000 worth of forgiveness would have had to pay $2,200 in taxes.
That number can get quite a bit higher with larger amounts of debt forgiven. Today, that number would be a lot different.
If you qualify for a student loan discharge, whether because you're a teacher or because you're on an income-driven repayment plan, or perhaps even because the Biden administration or Congress passes a major forgiveness proposal, you won't have to worry about treating that as income tax and therefore increasing your income tax bill.
And that's a big deal. especially to people like Jashira.
Even with relief and forgiveness, if it didn't have this tax, kind of this extra tax benefit now, they would be hit with another burden and maybe have to take a loan just to pay off the taxes. And then you're just kind of in this vicious cycle.
And the Biden administration has already forgiven $1 billion in loans for 73,000 borrowers who were defrauded by their institutions. None of them will pay taxes on that money. Borrowers like Jashira aren't overly hopeful for full forgiveness from their debt from Washington, but if any comes, they won't have to pay the tax man back a dime. I'm Bo Evans reporting.
Dick's Sporting Goods chain is launching a new store concept with what it calls an experiential store in New York. Dick's House of Sport features a rock climbing wall, indoor wellness spaces, and an outdoor field for sporting events. The company says customers at the location will get a hands-on shopping experience with their products, as well as help from fitness experts. The new store comes on top of a successful quarter for Dick's, which took in $3.13 billion in revenue. Southwest plans to beef up its 737 MAX fleet. The airline announced plans Monday to buy 100 of the planes. The deal includes options to buy 155 more. It's a major vote of confidence for the 737, which was grounded for close to 2 years after 2 of the planes crashed, killing 346 people. Southwest Airlines only flies airplanes in the 737 family. It plans to replace older models with the new MAX version.
Hello everyone, I'm 9 First Morning meteorologist Sherry Hughes. Overnight clear tonight with a low of 42 degrees. That's above normal. We start in the upper 30s at 8 a.m. and then we'll see those temperatures near 60 by noon. Lots of sunshine, but it's going to be breezy with winds out of the south gusting upwards to 30 miles an hour. The high temperature though around 70, and we are tracking the potential for some showers. We're sunny all day long, but by about maybe 10 or 11 near the midnight hour we see some rain coming in with a cold front, and that rain will last through the overnight, pushing out during the early portion of the afternoon on Wednesday. You're going to feel a big difference too. It will be a cooler day with highs only around 50 on Wednesday. For opening day at the Reds with the Cardinals, it's going to be even colder. Those temperatures topping out only near 40 degrees.
Many people who emigrate to this country do so dreaming of a better life. And then there are the dreamers, children who came to this country without legal permission and who remain undocumented. The House of Representatives recently passed a new Dreamers bill that could finally clear up their immigration status. While dreamers have hope for this bill, it faces a tough road in the Senate. For 20-year-old Yatsiri Cruz,
I was brought to the United States when I was 9 months old.
America is home.
Most of us dreamers came to the United States as children, not even knowing, and this is all we know.
Cruz, who goes to college and works as a paralegal, is one of 2 million people living in the country and legally allowed to work, known as dreamers.
We're citizens without the title. We're citizens without the title, without the benefits, without being recognized.
The name Dreamers comes from the Development, Relief, and Education for Alien Minors, or DREAM Act of 2001. In the 20 years since, there have been 11 versions of the bill introduced in Congress. None have become law. President Obama, through an executive action, allowed dreamers to apply for the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program, or DACA. But it's just that, deferred action, and offers no pathway to citizenship. But now, there's hope for change.
It's not just numbers, it's actual people that this is affecting.
Irvin Gonzalez is with CASA, an immigration advocacy organization.
We provide services and community organizing.
The House of Representatives recently passed a new Dreamers bill that could finally give some clarity to their immigration status. It now heads to the Senate, where it faces an uphill battle.
We're very happy to see the first step pass and waiting for the full act to pass. So now it's to continue to keep that pressure. The White House, the Senate was all one because of these promises you made for the immigrant community. So it's now to uphold and keep those promises that you made.
To 20-year-old Yatsiri Cruz,
we have hope. We have hope.
That means speaking out and sharing her story publicly.
I think we give our full and 100% to this country and to our people, our community.
In the hopes of a chance to stay. In York, Pennsylvania, I'm Maya Rodriguez.
When it comes to the COVID-19 vaccines, there's hesitancy among the Spanish-speaking population. A recent Kaiser Family Foundation poll found more than half of Latino and Hispanic adults are in no rush to get the vaccine.
We have the mission to communicate to our people.
Some experts believe this has to do with understanding the information that's out there.
Hispanic Latino communities may listen better or will trust a scientist, a professional, a physician, or myself that have been working in this area, and that also is a Latino.
6 Spanish-speaking staff members from the College of Public Health at the University of South Florida are hosting conversations over Zoom and Facebook Live completely in Spanish. Everyone is invited to listen in and learn more about getting vaccinated.
We want to really emphasize both their safety and efficacy, and sort of alleviate some of those tensions and fears that people are experiencing.
One of their conversations is posted to Facebook. Just visit the USF College of Public Health page to watch.